Okay, 4 practices in the books. You can see progress on a daily basis. We're far from having position battles and those types of things sorted out, but I think 4 days in, really like the intentionality of this group. I think they really enjoy playing the game of football, and then in turn they enjoy practicing it. So it's been a good start as far as that goes. I know we have a lot of hungry players because we do have a lot of opportunity that is wide open. So pleased with it so far. We got another day and just shoulder pads, and we'll go full pads on Wednesday, and that'll be another step as well. But just pleased with the start, and we got a ways to go, and it feels like a long time till that first game, but it'll be on us before we know it. So this is a big week to see the type of progress we make from Monday and where we're at the end of the week on Saturday. So six practices in a row, they're all gonna pile on each other, and guys are gonna start to separate. There's no question about that. So that'll open up for Christmas.
Just Brock Tessman, that speech he gave, just what were your kind of thoughts on that and how he's done so far?
I had a chance to sit down with President Tessman last week, and I've communicated with Leon quite a bit. He's obviously been around him several times through this transition, and I know from Leon's perspective, Dr. Tessman is extremely interested in athletics, in football at the same time, and is really excited to be here. I think that's one thing. This opportunity for him to come to Montana State and be our president is a meaningful one to him, and he wants to push our university forward, and in some way the football program is part of that. So I think his willingness to come over here and address our guys means a lot to them, to see that here's our new leader following up a great leader, and it's apparent that he wants to do the same things and then some. So pleased with my interaction to this point, and excited to continue to get to know him.
I saw Troy Taylor here as well. Can you kind of speak to his presence and what?
Yeah, Coach Taylor, he messaged me back in midsummer and wanted to come out, and said absolutely. We had a chance to interact a couple of times through our media day opportunities. We didn't play him in our 2 years we overlapped in the league. We got a great deal of respect for what he did at Sac State and getting that opportunity at Stanford. So just an opportunity for him to come out and I think be around football, and I guess pleased that he chose Montana State to want to do that.
Receivers seem like they have a lot of depth in that room. What do you like from them so far?
Yeah, I think we have, beyond the depth, I think there's versatility within that depth. A lot of guys of different shapes and sizes. Some guys that can play multiple positions, some guys that will play maybe just one spot. I think the returning experience is maybe limited, or the returning production is limited to probably Taco, but I think we have some guys that can step in. Been really excited about Chris Long just in the short time he's been here, and now to see that on the practice field, I think that's what we hoped he would be as a one-year guy. Excited to get Ryan King back for year 2. I know Ryan did some things last year, but there's another level to him. And then, the reemergence, I think, of Jacob Trimble is going to be really important. Jacob had an injury-filled year last year, and Jacob's got a lot of ability. And that's just naming 4. And I know beyond that, how's it going to shake out for us to play 5 and 6 and maybe 7? I think there's a lot of candidates for that. So, that's a group in particular to see where they're at by the end of this week. I think will be important. We'll have 9 practices under our belt at that point. Situational football will become more of our daily regimen, and with that, seeing who rises to the top will be important.
To get a guy like Chris to come out here for 1 year, from New Jersey, the East Coast, I guess what went into that process, and why did he land here?
Well, I think it was 2 things meeting at once. We had an opportunity, and we were patient with that opportunity. And Chris, I think initially thought that he would be going somewhere mid-year, and that didn't happen. So I think our timing really matched. And then our what we could present to him as his chance, to come in here, work his tail off, become part of what we are, but then be a key contributor, I think all made sense to him. So, sometimes patience is important. See, we hadn't really intended on taking a transfer portal receiver as we were sitting there in December and even at the big beginning of January, and then there was an opportunity that was created. But that was too late for that point in time. So we had the patience, and it was clear as we were going through it, if we could get Chris, that would be probably exactly what we were looking for. And we haven't played a game yet. He hasn't played a game yet here, but I think to this point, I think those things are lining up to say, okay, here we need a one-year guy that can make an impact. I think Chris has a chance to do that.
And then talking about the running back room, we talked a lot about Adam and Julius, but anybody else kind of standing out in that room as camp's progressing?
Well, I think the continuation of Colson Kuhn and Jared White to keep taking their games forward has been one piece. Those two have worked hard. I know they know what's ahead of them, and they know those opportunities are challenging to obtain. So I think they've continued to take their games forward. I think Cale Breslin, while young, Cale is just a true freshman. I think us obtaining him was a good move too. I think Cale, whether he does a lot this year or not, that still remains to be seen. But I think he has a real bright future.
Just haven't seen Bryson Parker around. Could you speak to that at all?
He's not with us right now. Obviously still on the roster, so we'll keep you updated on that.
Okay.
In terms of the tight end room, I think a lot of talks about around Hunter and Ryland and Rocky. I guess anything that stand out from those three, and I guess how they might be used.
I think that's a ongoing answer, but I think the thing I look at is those three guys, they're very much the same, and we haven't had 2-3 guys of very much the same that are our top three in any of our 4 years to this point. They've all been a little bit different, but in this group, I think those three are going to be very interchangeable, and excited about all three of them being able to do all the things we ask, whether that's on the run side of things, the blocking side, or in the pass game. And will it just be those three? I think that remains to be seen. I think Leuven Valson's a guy athletically that has really flashed, so he might find his way into that mix. But those top three guys, as far as depth and similarity, it's probably as good a group as we've had.
What do you like from the growth of the younger guys on the offensive line so far, and what do you think they need to most work on?
I think I'd fall on consistency, with any one of those guys. That's going to be the telltale as far as who we are willing to play with. I think Everett Carr has become more and more consistent, and you can see just playing him in one spot. Everett had to move all over the place to kind of make it all work last year, so you can see his continued progress. Getting Cedric back out there. Cedric's still a third-year sophomore. He started those first games last year and then didn't play much after that. He had shoulder surgery in the off season. So, getting him back out there and trying to get him to another level is what we need. Those two guys, as third-year guys in particular, are the two that I look at. Their emergence is so important. Second-year guys, Braden Zimmer's a guy that is probably going to be on the scene sooner than most. Braden had a really good fall, continued to put weight on, had a really good spring, and now he's in position, weight-wise, where he's put on 50-plus pounds since he was a high school senior, and that just doesn't happen by chance. I mean, he's worked really hard at it, and he's walked in this skinny, tall dude that now is a tall dude that's got something behind him that's really athletic. So, I think how those three guys, maybe in particular, play in with those guys that are a little bit older will be important. As I think about it, Dylan Rollins is an older guy that's still young. I mean, he's a sophomore, but he's older than those guys. But it's his second fall camp. He didn't even go through fall camp last year. So we got some good pieces, but the consistency piece and that's understanding they're not going to make every play, but when they, how do they play the next play? How do they go about it? It's so important to that position.
The DBs obviously have a lot of young talent and energy. Just what do you like from the energy as a whole from that group? It seems like they're really attacking the game.
Yeah, I think energy is a polite word, right? I think that group has to have some swagger just generally, and we got some guys that do. You know, and we don't have a guy in that mix that's a senior. Takari Carr's a fourth-year guy, but Takari hasn't played much. We have the, you know, Caden's the fourth-year guy. Again, same thing, hasn't, you know, had a full season by any stretch. Taki Taden did really well. The group of corners in Jace and Seth and Carson Williams. Geez, I stuck on the loudest one of them all. I think those guys all have this confidence that this is part of that position, in that, you know, when you play that position, you have to have confidence, and you have to be able to have the ability to play the next play there too. It's not going to always go your way. So a group full of energy, a group full of potential, and, you know, we got to close that gap, and what that potential means ultimately is to get those guys out there so they can be, again, consistent dudes playing play out.
The fullback, H-back role, do you just imagine kind of pulling from the tight end room, or are you still working?
Yeah, you know, it probably hasn't been our intention to have a dedicated fullback, period. You know, you want to be able to have that position be a combined position. We don't get under center in a traditional I formation very often, and that's where a true fullback would live. So I think all those guys that I mentioned have the capabilities of doing those roles. You know, as the time has gone on, I think RJ Fitzgerald was cut out of that mold, and he was here, and we worked through that with him. You know, Derek Snell was certainly a crossover. So, you know, I think it's again the versatility of all those guys to be able to do the things out of the backfield, do it at the line of scrimmage, split out and be a receiver is what we're looking for. So, you know, they're all tight ends that hopefully are interchangeable in our system, and you know, I think that group of three in particular has shown that.